LEGO gave us a nice surprise weekend announcement of a brand new set, the French Cafe. Now, this set is really interesting because it's a little bit different than things that we've seen before. And I'm intrigued by this, and maybe you are as well. So I'm going to break down some of the things that I like about this set, some things I don't like about it, but also try to put in the big picture of what LEGO's trying to do here, and tell you where I think this fits into a bigger strategy that LEGO has. And of course, at the end, I'll tell you whether or not we plan on getting this on day one or anytime in the near future. So the first thing I really like about this, and it stands out immediately when I look at the pictures, is just how intricate the build is. Now, if you take a look at the image, there's a central section with the door, and around that door, some really cool building techniques. For instance, above the door, you've got these 1x2 plates with these new 1x2 slopes that help form the arch. You've got some snot work right above that. On the sides, you have these angled walls that are used. You've got some hinges and some cheese slopes that set that angle, and a lot of different snot techniques, especially on the right-hand side, where even the windows are snot techniques. And I think that's really fascinating and proves to be a fun build if you were to get this set. Now, there are other really cool techniques that I noticed as well. For instance, look at the tables. The tables are clipped into the sidewalk, and you also have the old, it looks like the Roman shields from the original collectible minifig series serving as tabletops. And that's really nice to see those pieces used again, and how they use that as tabletops. Again, really fascinating. Now, perhaps the most impressive technique that I see here is the sidewalk itself, and the street, the cobblestone street, uses those half arch pieces flipped on their sides, staggered, going one going this way, the other one's going this way, to form a beautiful, the most intricate cobblestone and practical cobblestone street that I've seen in LEGO form, much less a LEGO set. So there's a lot there to like about the intricate build and the building experience that you would have with this set. And I'll come back to that in just a little bit. Now, of course, the second thing I really like about this is the pieces. There are some fantastic pieces. I mentioned the shields that were used as tabletops before, but there also are a lot of the light nougat color pieces, which are fantastic. Some 2x2 tiles. You've got the new partially rounded tiles in 2x2 that have the little knobs on them that we got first, I think, in the botanical garden. You've got a lot of windows in green that look to be part of the new series of windows they're putting out there. I like that. And of course, a lot of those arches that I mentioned for the cobblestone sidewalk. So really good building techniques, really good pieces. Now, of course, you see that and you might be tempted to think that's going to be an expensive set. Well, this is the third thing I like about it. It's affordable. Look, LEGO has an expensive product. It's a hobby that you have to have some disposable income in order to partake, but $80 for 1,100 pieces is a pretty good value, and it's a nice intricate building that isn't over $200 like you see with the modulars, the Botanical Garden, the X Mansion, Barad-dûr, Rivendell, and you name it. Like, this is a really nice intricate build that's on a higher level than some of the other facade-like sets that we've seen in the past, like in Town, City, Friends, and other themes. So it's an affordable entrance point to something that adults would like to build and might get a lot out of, which is a nice path for LEGO to take. Now, those are some pretty big positives. There are some things I don't really like about the set. Now, the first thing is the scale. If you take a look at the set, you notice that it's kind of caught in no man's land. It's not microfig and it's not minifig. We know this because the shops from the gift with purchase last year, or the Houses of the World from 2 years ago, those gifts with purchase tended to be micro scale. You can also take a look at the Hogwarts micro scale that is clearly very, very small. This one's in between. The windows and doors are just big enough to not quite be minifig scale, but bigger than microfig. And because of that, I think you end up with confusion as to what exactly this set is and what it's supposed to fit in with. Now, the other component to this that I don't like because of the scale is that there's really no life to the set. There aren't any microfigs, there aren't any minifigs, there aren't a lot of accessories. There's a croissant on one table on the left. There's like a mug and a cupcake, chocolate cupcake with frosting on the other side. But by and large, it just doesn't really have a lot going on. It's not bustling. And the interior is very much lacking. At a set that's about a foot long, 6 inches high, it's 8 studs deep. The back is flat. It's not enclosed like a normal building that you would think of a modular. It's got this flat wall to help provide structural support and then give you a little bit of sense of interior, even though it's like a faux interior. So there's a lot going on, but it's missing some of that life that you see in some of those gifts with purchase from the last couple of years that I think this might have somewhat been modeled off of. The second thing I don't like about this set is the base. Now, I do like dioramas. I want to build some of my own custom dioramas. So it's not so much that, it's the number of pieces that go into it. One of the critiques I've seen online is that this set doesn't feel like 1,100 pieces, doesn't feel like an $80 set. And in looking at it, I get that sense as well. Now, it's not because the set is full of 1x1 tiles and 1x1 plates or cheese slopes or any of those things. It's because if you look at it, there are quite a few pieces caught up in getting some of those small details, especially that cobblestone street. There's a lot of pieces caught up in that doesn't feel like it's part of the substantive part of the building. It's kind of this own thing. And something I've critiqued Lego on in the past, whether it was with the Hogwarts Express or the Black Panther bust, where they put a lot of pieces into things that might not really be necessary for the build. So I get that they want to have the diorama feel, which typically has that black trim, but they could have made it shallower or they could have done something differently, especially if they want this to be on display with any other future restaurants of the world. So that segues nicely into what is Lego trying to do here? It's not, like I said, it's minifig, it's not microfig. It does seem to be building off of the shops and the houses of the world. It seems to be building off of the Tranquil Garden and then the other gardens that were released in this year in January that aren't really any sort of scale, but have a lot of really interesting building techniques and are an affordable price or more affordable price than a lot of other Icons 18+ style sets. So I think Lego's trying to get in that market, but do it with buildings. And I applaud Lego for doing that. It's a bit of a risk. It's a calculated risk. It's not a huge one. At this point, we only know of one of these sets that's coming out. Now, with a theme like or a title like the Restaurants of the World, you certainly can start thinking of other options. Certainly London and Berlin, Germany, and you've got maybe China and Japan and the United States and Canada. Like there's so many different little places that you could build that would have a nice international global feel to it, that there's a lot of potential. And Lego could do a lot of different things, kind of like the postcard series that they did before. So it fits into a lot of these different things that Lego has tried. It's just they're doing it in a slightly different way. And makes me wonder, well, what exactly is the audience for this? And I mentioned earlier with the value, and I said I was going to come back to it, the $80 price point is, I think, key here. I see Lego doing a couple of things this year that will maybe bring in maybe new clients or new customers, or kind of give traditional Lego fans a different thing that might fit better with display, as many adults maybe are running out of display space. For instance, you got the Restaurants of the World, but you also have the rumored Book Nooks. Now, the one rumor that I've seen for the Book Nooks is we're getting a Lord of the Rings one. It's going to be Gandalf versus Durin's Bane, and it's going to be $120 for about 1,200 pieces. Taking a look at this set, the French Cafe, 1,100 pieces and $80. So you're going to get probably some minifigs, or a minifig at least, in some of the Book Nooks, which is going to add to some of the cost. But they're trying to give you a couple different lower price points, smaller displays that might be more accessible for people that don't want to drop a few $100s on a larger set. So that makes me wonder just how big this market is going to be, and what does Lego consider to be a success once the set comes out? And honestly, I don't really know. Clearly, the Tranquil Garden was a success because then they came out with the Other Gardens set that came out this past January. Clearly, they believe that there's some sort of pent-up demand for smaller display sets, which is why we're getting this and presumably the Book Nooks. How many of these are going to have to sell before we get a second one? Or is there already a production point for the second, third, and fourth? Is this going to be a quarterly thing? I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors about that, but I could see Lego doing a couple of these a year just to try to keep that collection going, similar to the Star Wars helmets and other things that they've done to try to lower the price point, maybe introduce some new fans, or get some old fans back into Lego with something affordable yet engaging as a building experience. Now, I'm wondering what you think about this set. If you think it's going to be successful. Right now, if I look at Brickset and they've got that poll, it's not looking like a lot of the Brickset users are fans of this set or plan on getting it. But I understand that there's probably a much larger adult market that isn't online a lot. So I'm curious what you think about the set. As for us, we're not planning on purchasing it on March 1st, just because March is looking to be an expensive month. You have the Bricklink Designer Program sets being released, shipped out, that were available for order back in October, and we got the Forest Stronghold, so we got to pay for that and anticipate that coming in, plus rumors of a new Ninjago City set and a Bag End set, which could make March an expensive month, such that this set certainly falls on the back burner of the month, much less other sets that we'd be interested in getting. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And always remember to keep building together.